So-called Republicans are voting with Democrats to cover up their runaway spending agenda. Specifically, all eyes are fixated on how voting for maintenance budgets separate from agency increases could make growing government a bit harder. Rogue JFAC members undermined the process and voted for the same old spending packages they did in years past this morning. On this week's episode of Fiscal Fridays, we will dig into why Idahoans should care about this unholy alliance between the Dems and establishment Republicans flying a false flag. So what exactly happened in JFAC this morning? The establishment is pulling out all the stops to stall efforts to improve spending transparency through maintenance budgets. This morning started off with a chaotic briefing before the committee even officially convened. A large number of motions were prepared and released at the last minute that simply pretended that the maintenance budgets passed on January 16th did not exist. Subsequently, false Republicans voted with the Democrats to create a 4-vote majority in favor of undermining the process. All of these lawmakers acted in bad faith even. Many of them are carrying the very maintenance budgets they are undermining, and all of the Republicans on JFAC voted in favor of them when they were still being deliberated in committee. It is also worth noting that these lawmakers have some of the worst scores on the spending index, below the 25th percentile. So why does the establishment care so much about changing the process? Last week, we talked about many of the reforms that JFAC co-chairs Wendy Horman and Scott Groh plan to implement for the committee, and how they could improve the overall transparency in state budgeting. Considering the maintenance of current operations separately from all the shiny and new agency requests provided the opportunity for lawmakers to cut items from the base of the budget, more scrupulously analyze line items, and better align their votes with their values. Bureaucrats hate this approach because it loses the Washington, D.C. style leverage of an all-or-nothing vote. You can vote in favor of Idaho's essential services without agreeing to large, frivolous increases. In short, the gravy train was coming to an end, but one should never underestimate the inertia of the establishment. Right from the start, these maintenance budgets were delayed for 17 days as leftist members of leadership, particularly in the Senate, played games with rules to undo the process. Finally, yesterday seemed like a breakthrough as 9 of the 10 budgets finally printed and were read across the desk. But now these bills may not go any further as the establishment makes a desperate push in favor of agencies' wish lists and delegating their powers to the whims of the governor. So how does this impact Idahoans? Well, there was a reason why this change was necessary. Agency budgets were running away, and the governor was sure to spend up all the money you would overpay in taxes. Notice that there is no discussion at all about real permanent tax cuts this year. We sure did, and the establishment is bent on ensuring that they rubber stamp agencies' requests for more than $1.5 billion in budget enhancements beyond the maintenance of current government levels. Saying no to these agency asks would have yielded a surplus of about $500 million. That could have resulted in a rebate of about $266 per man, woman, and child in the state. To add insult to injury, not only will you not get back what Idaho taxes you overpaid, but you and your descendants will also get slapped with the effects of inflation. Returning to the status quo makes us complicit in inflationary DC spending. More than $560 million of new spending is in federal borrowed money. It is examples like this that explain why our debt to GDP ratio will nearly double in the next 25 years. Overall, 9 JFAC members sided with the Democratic Party platform of favoring the bureaucracy and big spending over the needs of their constituents. They are in for special interests and will defend the system that protects them. What happened in JFAC today drew the battle lines and proved that these legislators are all just Democrats posing in GOP cloaks. Thank you for taking the time to watch this week's episode of Fiscal Fridays. Please be sure to like and subscribe to support our work.